All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's talk about this. We're going to talk about a guy over here in the United States. It's a DJ, a radio DJ. His name is DJ Envy. Some of you might know him already. This is DJ Envy right here. Let me show you that guy right there. That's DJ Envy right there. It's on radio here in New York City, and he has some interesting stories with his wife. They've been married for over 20 years or so, about 25 years or so. They've been together since their teenage years, and he almost lost his wife at one point. They wrote a book not too long ago, right? Let me see. So before we get into that, let me see. I think Angela say you work on it consistently. Yes, like everything that you value, like everything in life that you consider treasure, you have to protect it, right? So you can think of it as protecting it, right? So yes, that's true. But again, some of this, a big chunk of that is going to become second nature after a while. That's why my natural instinct is to push against people when they say marriage is work. That's my natural instinct. But I know for a fact that it's work, but it doesn't really feel as though it's work anymore to me. At least to me. Okay. But it was work. and if somebody was falling out of the skies and they've gone through some damages in their marriage, they have to do the work. All right. So, but I say that to let people also to encourage people, say if you go through the initial stages of the work, it's gonna get to a point that it gets easier. You know, nobody talks about that. Everybody just want to say it's work. And then they want, and I'm like, I asked them, I said, if it's just work, why should me that I'm not married come and be married when it's work? Who wants to work? Right? And then we wonder why some young people are not interested, or why they're not interested, because everybody else is painting as work. Your mindset can actually help you keep calling it work. When you come into certain situation with a certain mindset, it doesn't feel like work, right? That now I can't force you into a different mindset if you have that mindset due to some experience or anything like that. All I can do is tell you there are other experiences, and there are some things you can do to make life easier for yourself. One of them is to marry right, and after you marry, it's to marry right. After you've married right, you have to make sure you keep it right, because there are tons of people, majority of people that marry right, right, may end up feeling like it wasn't right all along. It's because they never kept work. They never protected what they had. They became complacent, right? And DJ Envy was one of those people. DJ Envy, the guy you're looking at on the screen, was one of those people until he actually lost his marriage and regained his back. So when he's talking, I understand where he's coming from. A lot of people, a lot of the lame people on the internet don't necessarily understand where he's coming from, right? But I want to rub minds to you together with you on this particular issue, and then we'll take it from there. Let me read this comment first, though. Open floor by Tima. Good to see you. Say, wow, even though it was my ex who was doing the most in the breakdown of our marriage, it was until I decided to step back, looked inward, took myself to therapy, and then gained strength to finally. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tima, the therapy must have given you the clarity of mind and self that you needed to realize that it was time to whatever it was, but you don't assess nothing unless you engage your own personal work. Okay, because you're probably clouded up too, because obviously the experience you're having is probably clouded up as well, right? So it is what it is. But before you assess anything, regardless of what it looks like on the surface, all of us, when we're caught up in that emotions, everything looks like it's somebody else's fault and somebody's out to get us. Everything. Okay. So you want to make sure at least you make sure that part is good, and if the other person is not there, because that's obviously a possibility, but at least you'll be assessing from a place of, like Angela said, clarity. It's called building a sound foundation for the marriage to stand on. He was fortunate to able to regain his marriage. Yes, he was definitely he worked. You can work at the same time, be able to acknowledge that there's luck and the fact that you're fortunate. A lot of people think those are mutually exclusive, but there's no escaping the work. There's nobody that's mistakenly Yeah, you have to work. You have to work at it. Let's play this video and then let's take it from there.
Does not. This woman does not love her children.
Of course, my wife is, she went on a girls trip. She's going for 20 days. So I've been packing the kids' lunch.
She's going for 20 days.
The only types of women who are able to be gone that long and enjoy themselves are crackheads. And I'm not accusing her, but this is some crackhead behavior. Like, what are you looking for? How do you not miss your children? They have a 1-year-old daughter. You don't leave the 1-year-old. How do you go 3 weeks without your children seeing your face? Or you can be like, oh, there's FaceTime. That's not sufficient. When you are a wife, you are supposed to be at home every day. When you are a mother, you are supposed to be at home every day. Okay? And when you have a baby, you really ain't even supposed to be leaving the house, but I know y'all aren't ready for that. DJ Envy is a businessman. If he's not going on vacation, she don't need to be going on vacation. He brings in all the money in that household. And 3 weeks ain't even a vacation. That's a leave of absence.
All right, what do you ladies think? Let me give you the lowdown of what happened. He was on the radio as usual. Hold on 1 second. He was on the radio and he was basically talking about he had to pack food or stuff for the babies. Why? The wife was going away or was away on a 20 days girls trip. Ladies, tell me, how do you feel about 20 days girls trip? Or just girls trip in general? As a married woman, do you agree with this woman that's talking here? I don't think she's a woman. I think she's a young lady. I mean, I guess she could be a woman too. But I think she's much younger than I think Envy and his wife are in their mid-40s, between 40 and 50, 45 is or so, right? Do you think that's appropriate, or do you think there's nothing wrong with that? I want to know. I'm curious to see in the comments in the chat. We have 41 people here right now. Do me a favor, hit that like button. But also let me know, what do you think about a 20 days girls trip? Then also, if you could add on to that, what do you think about girls trip in general for a married woman? She's got 6 kids. 2 of them are fully grown. She got little babies, maybe about 3 or 4 of them. And she's going on a 20 days girls trip. Do you agree with this woman that's talking? Speak, oh. I'm looking out for the comments. Speak. Let me know. Do you agree that it's okay for a wife to go on a 20-day trip? If you have nuances to that as well, let me know what your nuances are. What do you think? 20-day trip, according to her. Let me see here. Let's see.
Going for 20 days. So I've been packing the kids' lunch.
She's going for 20 days.
The only types of women who are able to be gone that long and enjoy themselves are crackheads. And I'm not accusing.
She said they're crackhead. If you go on such trip, that you have to be a crackhead to be able to enjoy time away for that long. Let's keep going.
Using her, but this is some crackhead behavior. Like, what are you looking for?
Ladies, you're quiet, oh. What are you looking for on girls trip? That's the questions that this woman is asking. What are you looking for on a girls trip? I'm not sure if she's saying the 20 days girl trip or girls trip period, right? I'm not sure if that's what she's saying. Is she saying the girls trip altogether, or is she saying 20 days girls trip? Is 2 days, 3 days, 4, 5 days girls trip okay? Let's see.
How do you not miss your children? They have a 1-year-old daughter.
How do you not miss your children? Ladies, especially those of you that have some experience here, are there moments where you absolutely like, yeah, to hell with those kids? I'll be back. Like, do you ever feel like that as a mother? Like, I'll be back. Like, what do you mean, miss my children? I'll be back and I'll be here with them for a long time, right? Or you're just agreeing with her, right?
You don't leave the 1-year-old. How do you go 3 weeks without your children seeing your face?
Is that a strange thing in 2023 to leave your children for 3 weeks? Or was that even ever strange? Some of you are here, I respect you a lot, you're seasoned and you've been through this before. Or you've ever regret. I know that mommies will definitely miss their babies after a few days. Even if they wanted to get away. I know that that's a natural thing for most mothers. But I'm not sure they necessarily know that they will miss them before they actually take those trips.
And you can be like, oh, there's space time. That's not sufficient. When you are a wife, you are supposed to be at home every day. When you are a mother.
So if you're a mother, you're supposed to be home every day. A wife, a mother, supposed to be home every day. So I don't want to be disingenuous with my question, but what if she works? I guess she's talking about if she doesn't work. But so if you don't work, you're supposed to just be home every day, right? Now, I have my own picture of reality because I've been married for 15 years. So the being at home every day thing, there are many other reasons why she won't be at home outside of girls trip. and but let's just pretend like girls trip is the only reason why a woman may not be at home. This is what the internet does to us, but let's see.
You are supposed to be at home every day, okay? And when you have a baby, you really ain't even supposed to be leaving the house, but I know y'all aren't ready for that. DJ Envy is a businessman. If he's not going on vacation, she don't need to be going on vacation. He brings in all the...
So if your husband is not going on vacation, you don't need to be going on no vacation. She has her hands in your face right now.
Money in that household. And 3 weeks ain't even a vacation. That's a leave of absence.
A leave of absence. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Oh Lord. Let me see. Interesting. Let me look at the chat. All right. It's called no, we missed that. We already talked about that. Okay, Brother Patrick, good to see you. Brother Patrick, feel free to call in, by the way. Or anybody who wants to call in. That may be a me time for her. Right. For 20 days, Sha. But let's just act like it's just girls trip. Angela says, girls trip when you have a very little baby is not good, to be honest. However, there's nothing wrong with the girls trip if it's older kids and the husband is also in agreement. And no, I don't agree with her. What part of what she's saying don't you agree with? Right? And also a little baby, 1 year old, is 1 year old still considered a little baby if you have older kids and other older kids, about 6 kids in total, and the husband who is clearly proud of helping the wife. It sounds like he's proud to me. It sounds like he doesn't have any. You see, these are the issues on the internet. People that don't have problem with their own marriage, the internet monitoring spirits will be having problem for them. These are serious issues. But anyway, maybe they have a reason. Let's keep talking.
Does not love her children.
Of course, my wife is, she went on a girls trip. She's going for 20 days. So I've been packing the kids' lunch.
She's going.
That doesn't sound like a husband that hasn't agreed to that. Why would we be using tramadol for another person's headache? Oh, let me guess. Because you're trying to build the committee, Ronnie. It's a lie. Okay, your leg. This is called leg walking at this point.
Government, you don't have any government. They learn work.
Leg walk. Toby and Tribe said 4 years ago I took a 3-week holiday to Nigeria. Well, that's not girls trip. It was the best time of my life. I missed my son, but I knew he would be well taken care of by his dad. Everyone needs a solo holiday. You consider that a solo holiday? I guess. Depends on what you're doing in Nigeria. Was it Dirty December? Toby and Tribe. All right. Chia said, no, not a crackhead, but a woman who needed to breathe for a minute. That's that seasoned grown woman talk right there, right? A woman who needed to breathe for a minute. See, it takes a grown man to also understand that. Now, the 20 days is quite a bit for me, okay? That's a lot, okay? And the 20 days doesn't sound realistic. Sounds like there are other reasons why she might be traveling, because I've listened to her talk. She doesn't sound like an unreasonable person, right? I'm talking about DJ Envy's wife. She sounds like a very reasonable person. 20 days is a lot. What do we? It sounds like there are other reasons, maybe business attached reasons. Maybe she's running a conference, other things like that, and they might call it ghost trip, right? It's still a lot, okay? But it sounds like there are many other reasons behind that. But of course, the internet will run with whatever sounds like they can. If they can drag it, they will drag it. Let's keep going. Due to the marriage breakdown, brief for a minute. No, the marriage breakdown has been over, at least from what we know from a public standpoint. The marriage breakdown has been over for a long time. They sound like they're doing well to me. But of course, there's a bunch of men on the internet who would rather tell you how to be like a man, even though they're struggling to be a man. Yes, I said it. That's a big problem. That's a big, big problem. If you're running away from your own country to another country to go and find women that fits your needs, you're struggling to be a man, particularly in your own context and what you've ever known. And that's a grass is greener on the other side syndrome, right? If I were to generalize, that's something I would attribute to women, and that's a problem when men are doing that. But hey, we'll get to it when we get to it. The only thing I can give to that conversation is just throwing shots like that, to be honest. Okay, but let's keep going. Papa said, what about women in the US military or traveling nurse? Well, that would be for work. So if somebody just a wife just wake up one day and say, I need girls trip 20. Girls trip means vacation for fun. That's what it means. It means for fun. Okay, and this is you saying you need to have fun outside of your husband. Okay, if there's a marriage breakdown that's going on or a crisis, I can understand that. I can, you need to breathe, you need to run away. But that's what she's saying. You're running away from your marriage, right? But a healthy marriage and a wife just wake up randomly and said, I want girls trip, and it's not her sisters. Yeah. Nah. And it's not work, right? Nah, I don't think so. Let me see here. Okay, let's see. 1 second. I got you open floor. I'll be right there with you. I don't have an issue with girls trip, but 20 days is a lot though. That's what I'm saying. For me, I don't have a problem with girls trip too, but I also know that a typical happy wife is typically not asking for girls trip. Okay, it's because something is going on and they need to escape. Okay, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're in that space. It could also be because you're overwhelmed with so much going on with the kids or stuff like that, right? But just random willingly girls trips, yeah, I would definitely be careful with that, ladies. Okay, 20 days is a lot, and random asking for girls trip is also something to be wary of. It's usually a response to a psychological breakdown. It could be due to the marriage too, okay? And we need to acknowledge that, okay? Naturally speaking, if you're doing well, nobody's asking for it. Some people will say, you know what, I just like it because of healthy, it allows me to breathe, that's fine too, But usually when people remember girls trip because there's something going on, okay? And whatever is going on, it's not going away. When you come back, it needs to be addressed. That's all I'm saying, okay? 21 days out of 365 days is nothing. You get to spend the rest of the 344 days with them and the rest of their life, I guess, right? Let me bring open floor to the screen really quickly. Open floor, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Hi, Ola. Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
How you doing? You want me to call you Tima or open floor? Which one?
Call me Tima. It's fine.
Okay, Tima. How you doing?
I'm good. So I don't know which one. Yeah, thank you. I don't know which one I should talk about first. Because I kind of joined a little bit later. So I made a comment about, it take one person to kind of change the trajectory of the relationship if you see like it's not working, right?
Right.
For me, like when I was in my relationship, it took me forever to realize that, like, oh my goodness, I was in the defensive mode, if you can call it that.
Okay.
And I was pointing fingers in such a way that even though he's doing the most, right? He was doing the most, but it's like I just kept pointing finger at him, like, oh, I don't feel heard by him, like all my complaint and my nagging, he won't have it. He kept doing what he was doing, right? To the point that at one point I had dragged him together, and I call it drag now because he didn't work. Whatever we were doing wasn't working. We went to couple therapies together that I paid for. So it was just only me trying to say, okay, let's go to therapy. Okay. And I was hoping that, with therapists, things might better. And we did that for almost a year consistently, right?
You went to therapy and I realized, a year?
Oh, yes, almost maybe 9 months or 10 months, which is almost a year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started with every once in a week, and then it become every once 2 weeks, and then once in a month. And I remember at the end of that 10 months, and I think it's 10 months, the therapy kind of told us to make a list of what it is that we want from each other, kind of thing, and then promise that this and that. Mm-hmm. And we did that. And after that, I realized that nothing changed. Ooh, like nothing. Like the expectation, my expectation was just, so when I realized that, I decided on my own. I said, you know what? I'm going to step back a little bit. And I found another therapy for me. In the beginning, I didn't tell him. I was already in the therapy by myself. At one point, I let him know that, this is what I'm doing on my own, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I have to be honest. In the time that I was doing that individual therapy, there was no intimacy. Because I could not.
You couldn't see yourself doing it.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So, but I let him know that I was doing all of that. And it was in that process when I was doing, then I realized the part that I was playing in the relationship. And it kind of gave me some kind of nudge to say, you know what? Even though he might not giving me what I want, it doesn't mean that he's a bad person, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And again, to realize that it hurts, like to admit that to myself, it hurts, right?
Right.
But I know that even though it's not giving me what I want, I'm not giving him 100% of myself either, right?
Right.
So it's like I had to make that decision to say, you know what, this is it for me. And I need to walk away from it. And we did that. I mean, he could not believe it. By the time he was going to do the turnaround, it was too late at that point, because it's like, things that I find out about myself, things that I know that I need to actually change about myself for me to take that relationship to a healthy place. But the trust is already gone. Like maybe 2 years before then. We were trying to catch up. We couldn't catch up on it. Right. Fast forward now, I mean, divorce is fine and everybody is doing well in their own space, right?
Right.
To the lady who was talking about the envious wife who had to go for 3 weeks, the issue with people is everybody talk from their own experience, right? You talk as you see the situation.
Yep.
Maybe it might be something that she would never do, but that doesn't mean that somebody else cannot do that. Because again, we have to understand from which options that envious wife have to make a choice, right? Because if the relationship wasn't working, I'm sure maybe at the time that she made that decision, she already tried everything and she just figured out, you know what? I'm going to let you try for 3 weeks and let me see how it's going to work for you kind of situation, right?
Right.
So you cannot say she's a lunatic, like any mother that have to leave a child for 3 weeks, she's a lunatic or whatever she said. I don't. I mean, from my perspective, my opinion, I don't believe that. I think
you feel like 20 days is long, right? It's quite long.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean,
it's not?
Again.
Okay.
No, it's not. In my opinion, I mean, and the reason why I say it's not for envious wise because I'm thinking like maybe their situation already at the lowest at that point, right? If your relationship
let me give you
some
context, right? They're multi-millionaires. They're multi-millionaires.
Right.
They don't have to They don't have to go to work. They can, even if they were Nigerians, they can go to Nigeria and come back in 24 hours. They can go back and forth in multiple times during the span of 3 weeks if they want to, 5 times. There are people that do that because they can do it because maybe work requires it, or they have an event and then they fly back and stuff like that, right? So they're in that position. But even let's pretend like they're not in that position, they're just regular good old working people, right? And your wife comes to you and say he's going on 20 days trip. It's a girl's trip, right?
Right.
You're saying it's not a lot. Is that what I'm getting from you?
If the relationship is in the good order, like if the relationship is good, I don't think no woman will want to go that far, or a man will want to go that long for no reason. I mean, if they have to go that long, both of them is going to have to go together, right? I'm saying if the relationship is good. Right. But in a situation where relationship is on the floor, it's like now it's like you just have to pick yourself. Now I have to pick me, so I have to do me. So in that regard, if that's what it takes for her to say, you know what, I need a break, I'm out of here. For me, I would do it. I mean, I think when I was in my situation, it's because I couldn't afford to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think if you are taking some time off like that, it could have made things better? Do you think that?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you decided to take that long, not necessarily. If you decided that you wanna, if your relationship is not working and you as a person decided to go for whatever girls trip, mentor check for that long, there's a consequence. It can go either way, right? But you're gonna have to be willing to take whatever consequences that come from it. It's not like you cannot. I mean, just know what you are doing. If you're gonna do that, that's the point I'm trying to make. Know what you are doing and know the reason why you have to do what you are, what you are doing, kind of thing.
Okay. Now let me throw you a little curveball, right? Let's say you're married, happily married to your husband, right? And I'm not talking about going to Nigeria for 3 weeks. I know we're all used to that as Nigerians. Your husband can go to Nigeria for 3 weeks. Like that's understandable because before he goes to Enugu and go back to Kano, before he needs 3 weeks, right? But he just randomly say, you know what? I'm going on a trip with my boys. Vacation in Jamaica. It's going to be 20 days. How would you respond to that? Nothing was going on with your marriage.
No, absolutely.
You were okay.
Absolutely not. No, that would be too long. That would be too long. In a good marriage, that would be too long. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a common sense. I mean, if we're going to go that long, let's all of us go together then, right? That is how I feel.
That's how you feel. Wow.
I mean, good marriage is good marriage, right? When you are in a good marriage, it's like, or good union, let me put it that way, is I mean, it's good. It's good. When it's good, it's good, right? You want to be around each other all the time. Yeah. When it's good, it's good. So you want to be around each other all the time. And if someone have to go that long, not that they can't do it if there's understanding between both of you, really. But it's like, I'll go with you because I don't know if I want to be by myself for that long without you by my side, kind of thing. I think that will come from the space of love, not for anything else, but just you enjoy being around that person.
Right.
You understand what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, with regards to the first story that you shared with us, thank you for sharing with us, by the way. So you went to therapy by yourself. You went eventually. If you don't have to share if you're not comfortable sharing, right? What was it that you felt like it wasn't delivering? If you could keep it into a few words, that you felt like it's not changing, because you said 10 months it was coming to therapy and it didn't change for 10 months. What was it? Can you give me one or two things?
So infidelity is the top issue that we had, right?
Okay.
And the kind of infidelity I was talking about is just not like, because again, in marriage, everybody have deal breaker, right? Everybody have deal breaker. To be honest with you, when I was going into that marriage, I didn't even know what my deal breaker were. You see what I mean? Like, I didn't know what would be my deal breaker in my marriage. And you know, when you go into the marriage without even knowing, that is how much I didn't even know myself, right?
Right.
I didn't know that infidelity is gonna be a deal breaker for me until it happened to me. You see what I mean?
Like most people, by the way, most people don't necessarily know.
Right. So, and then again, because people ask me, what is it? What was it that you couldn't forgive him for? For me, it wasn't even the infidelity is one thing, right? The lies, the dishonest.
Yeah, because you have to lie with that. You have to lie to.
Yeah. That dishonesty is just it take the crown, and I couldn't trust myself with him anymore. Like I just couldn't. I cannot, for the love of God, my life to having to trust, him as the head of my house or whatever the case. And after that 10 months, and I realized that he still continue. He cannot get better with it. Let me.
So when you say continued with the same person or just multiple people, random people?
At that point, I didn't even pay attention after that, whether it's the same people, whether it's different people. What I do know was that when I find out, it was like a multiple of women, like
multiple of people. Okay.
It was like a multiple. When I say multiple, I mean multiple. I'm not even going to go into the numbers because I remember when I find out and I was counting the number of women that I have like a physical evidence of something happening between them.
Right.
I stopped counting at one point. You know what I mean? So
the idea of this therapy was what were you guys arguing a lot about what was true or what was a lie? What was the majority of the conversation that you had in therapy? Was it just about proving if he's lying or what was it?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No. At one point he came clean, right? Like, I mean, of course, because the evidence, you can't even lie because the evidence was so much and it was so clear. There was no maybe if anything, right? So he was, and I think that evidence kind of forced him to say, okay, yeah, I was doing it, whatever, right? And not only that, it was the attitude. It was his attitude with, well,
so
yeah,
you didn't think it was a big deal?
What?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like,
just
take care of your children.
Yeah.
Why are you so worried about what I'm doing?
Yes, like, I mean, everything I'm doing, why is that way? And then like, and not because, all of that was happening, not because we are having issue intimately, absolutely not. And that was what really baffled me and kind of almost break me because it's like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Like, because intimately, I thought we were in the good place. Like, I did my best. So my best wasn't enough for him, kind of thing. And even on top of all of that, I was willing to say, okay, right? Like they always say, right?
You were willing to patch things together, see if you can make it work.
Yes, like, okay, let's see what we can do. I mean, again, but I came to realize later on, like I was the one I was the one that want to make it work. Right. I was the one that want to make it work because I was the one that found the therapist. I was the one that was paying for it, whatever the case may be for the whole time.
So in his mind, he's just helping you. Like, if she wants to go to therapy, okay, let's go. It's that kind of attitude about the going, right?
No, so the therapy, because I was at the point of walking away, right? The first time I was at the point of walking away.
Oh.
And you see what I mean? So, and he said, and then I think, the family member, the friends, like, oh, please, you guys, this and that. So they cannot talk to him like, please, boy, get yourself together.
Put your home together. If she needs therapy, just go.
Please. Yeah. And they say, okay, yeah, we go to therapy. I was so happy when he said that because forever he said no. And when I get that yes, I was like, okay, I mean, we can do something, yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna play a video, right? And I want us to rub minds together on what you think about it. There are 2 videos I'm going to play. Just hang in right there with me, okay? Just hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right. I'll be right back, yo. I'll be right back. Let's pay some bills.